Please like this video. It will really help this story reach as many people as possible. Thank you so much for your support. She set my plate down like it weighed a ton and slid into her chair. Phone already in hand. We used to talk over dinner. Now I watched her thumb scroll while the roast cooled. Anything I should know? I asked, cutting a slice. She didn't look up. About what? You tell me. You're imagining things. Everything's fine. If I'd known where that line was headed, I'd have shut the door then and there. Instead, I tried to meet her halfway and pretended not to feel the floor tilt. The next morning, she brewed coffee, but the mug slid to my side like a formality. I reached across the island. Hey, you're here. I'm here. Can we actually talk, instead of texting from 6 feet away? Don't start, she said, twisting the ring around her finger. It's just a busy week. Busy happens. Cold is optional. She smirked at the toaster like it told a joke. You're dramatic. Wrong guy. I'm the practical one. Then be practical and stop reading into nothing. I set my fork down. We're making a change. Phone's in the bowl at dinner. She blinked slow. Excuse me. Bowl by the fridge. Dinners are for us. You want to scroll? Do it before or after. That's controlling. It's called attention. We used to give it to each other. She laughed once. Short. Fine, put your police badge away. I'll pick up groceries tonight, I told her, letting that land. You pick up conversation. Cute, she muttered. You rehearsed that. I cleaned my plate, left the kitchen, and pulled the ceramic bowl out where it would be hard to ignore. Starting now at the Friday barbecue. She drifted between our neighbors with a glass in her hand. And that smile she saved for other people. I grilled. She waved from across the yard like a stranger. When I walked over, she stepped sideways to keep our bodies from touching. Everything good? I asked. We're at a party. That wasn't my question. She took a sip. You look intense. Mark. Relax. Phone, I said, tapping the pocket of her dress. Bowl at dinner, and we're eating in 20 when the burgers are done. God, are you serious right now? Her voice was light, but her eyes dared me to push it. Our neighbor Pete looked up from the cooler. You two okay? We are, I told him. We're just remembering the rules we liked about us. She glanced at Pete. Back to me. Rules. What am I in boot camp? You're in a marriage, I said even. And I'm not competing with your screen. She rolled her eyes, tossed her hair, and walked away like the conversation bored her. I flipped the burgers, and felt something click. I wasn't begging for attention. I was setting terms I could live with. When we ate, she left her phone beside her plate anyway. I picked it up, set it in the bowl on the counter without a word. She stared at me. You're unbelievable. Thanks for noticing, I said. She laughed for the group at the table. Guys, can you believe this? I married a hall monitor. Pete grinned awkwardly. His wife, Dana, tried to smooth it over. It's sweet, actually. It's infantile. My wife shot back. I cut across it. We good to go? I asked her standing. Go where? Home, I said. I open the shop early tomorrow then go. She said I'll Uber. Not leaving you to stumble in. I replied. You came with me. You ride with me. She stared me down. I said I'll Uber. Then we're not doing rides for your friends at dawn. I said, voice calm. And I'm not the backup plan for your late night tours anymore. New rule. You want independence. It comes with logistics. She dipped her head. Smile sharp. You love giving speeches. Speeches. End. I told her, rules stay. Back home, I pulled cash from the envelope we used for extras and set half aside in a small safe. Discretionary spending split. If we were running 2 separate evenings, we'd run 2 separate budgets, too. I canceled the couple's trivia night on our calendar and booked myself into an early shift. The following week, I took her car in for service and left my truck keys with my foreman instead of hanging them on the hook by the door like usual. No more lending them out if she decided my schedule was flexible. My time wasn't a vending machine. When she got home, she tossed her bag down and dropped on the couch. "We still pretending this bowl thing is a tradition?" she asked, pointing at the counter. "We're not pretending anything," I said. "We're doing it," she flipped on the TV. "So you can tell yourself you tried." "I don't tell myself stories," I answered. "I change what needs changing. Like our entire life. Like the parts where I feel invisible in my own house." She clicked through channels. "If you're invisible, how am I hearing you?" "Because I get louder when I'm ignored," I said. "Not meaner, just clearer." She snorted. "You're really selling this." "I'm not selling anything," I told her. "But I am done being polite about respect." She stood, grabbed her phone, and went upstairs. The first crack in the picture, not an earthquake, just the steady sound of paint flaking under a fingernail. 2 days later after work, I met my crew at a small brewery to talk through a bid. My foreman, Louise, was going over numbers. She showed up midway, hair done, lipstick that wasn't for me. "You didn't text," I said, sliding out a chair. "I'm spontaneous," she said brightly, squeezing my shoulder like a prop. "Hi, boys." Louise nodded, eyes flicking to me. My project manager, Ellie, no nonsense, runs budgets tighter than a drum, looked amused. My wife took the seat across from me, glanced at my notes, and laughed. "You're still doing everything on paper." "It's a sketch," I replied. She shook her head at the table. "You could at least pretend to be modern." Louise cleared his throat. "It works." "That's adorable," she said like we were kids building forts. I kept my face still. "You can head home if you're bored." "I'm here to support," she said. "Then support looks like letting us finish," I replied. "We'll be done in 20. She drummed her nails. "I'll order fries." "You want anything?" "No." Ellie leaned in. "We good?" "We're good." I said, loud enough for my wife to hear. I added, "When I'm at work, respect the boundary. No surprises, no steering." My wife's smile tightened. "Wow, public rules. Cute." "When you test them in public, I answer in public," I said. "Since when are you so rigid?" She popped a fry in her mouth. "Since you started acting like every plan was soft clay." She folded her arms. "You know what? I'm going to meet Hannah. We had a thing anyway." "Enjoy," I told her. "Text when you get home." She stood paced a beat. "That's not happening." "Then don't expect me to open the door at 2 a.m. I replied. "The deadbolt turns at midnight." She laughed. "You're locking me out now." "I'm locking nonsense out," I said, turning back to Louise. "Line 2, we shave 5% if we change the supplier." She left. Ellie let out a low whistle. "Interesting boundary work there," she said. "I'm done leaving gray areas," I replied, marking the page. "Gray invites games." I got home by 10 o'clock. The deadbolt clicked at midnight. Saturday morning, the kitchen smelled like pancakes. She stood barefoot at the stove, humming, hair tied up like old times. 2 plates waited, syrup warmed. Her phone was nowhere. "What's the occasion?" I asked, hanging my jacket. "Peace offering," she said, sliding a plate to me. I was snippy at the brewery. I shouldn't have. "You work hard." I watched her. "Appreciate you saying it." She poured coffee. "I mean it good." I said, "Because I'm not running a circus to entertain you when I'm on the clock." She touched my forearm. "You were clear." "I heard you." "I'm keeping the midnight rule." I added. She met my eyes. "Understood." "For a few days." She leaned in. Dinners without the phone. Questions about my projects. A hand on my shoulder when I came home sweaty and beat. It looked like we redirected the train. I didn't fully buy it. I enjoyed it anyway. I also moved a few things. I switched our joint calendar to invite only. If she wanted me present, she'd send an invite. I rerouted our extra savings to a money market in my name and left the joint account for bills only. 2 sets of lists on the fridge, hers and mine. Less blending, more accountability. The following Thursday, she texted at 6 o'clock. Girls' night late. Don't wait up. I replied, midnight stance. Door locks at 12 o'clock. She left it on read. At 11:45, I brushed my teeth and set the deadbolt. At 12:30, nothing. 1 a.m. Nothing. At 12:08, my phone lit, running late. Sorry. I turned it face down and slept. At 8:30, I opened the door to her tiptoeing in. She avoided my eyes. Don't start. Start what? Lecture. Not a lecture, I said. Just the rule you agreed to. She walked to the sink. We were just talking. Then talk at a decent hour. She set a glass down hard. God, you're exhausting. So is pretending I can't see the pattern. I said, I'm not your dad. I'm your husband. This is the last time we do midnight as a suggestion. She shrugged and left the room. The week after, she went in the other direction. Soft sweaters, long kisses at the door, a text in the afternoon, dinner at our spot. She booked it, smiled across the table, asked for stories from jobs I'd done years ago. It felt like coming home. I let myself breathe. 2 nights later, she slipped into my shop at closing with a bag of tacos. Piece with extra guac, she said, sitting on a stool. I know you're cranky without food. Cranky, I raised an eyebrow. Fine, focused. How's that cabinet build? Solid, she watched me wipe down the bench. You've been, I don't know, different. What does that mean? Like, you stopped chasing. She said, it's calm. I like it. I like not being a moving target. She looked up at the shop clock. I'll head home. Want me to start the grill? I'll handle it. I said, meet you there. She kissed my cheek and left. That night, we sat on the patio and talked like we'd been on a long trip and finally got back. I slept like I used to when I didn't have to listen for the door. 2 weeks after that, a Saturday that started ordinary ended in static. I went for a run, came back, and the house was quiet. No coffee mug, no hair tie on the counter, no note. Half the closet was empty. The carry-on she took on every trip wasn't by the door. I called her straight to voicemail. I tried again. Nothing. I tried her friend Hannah. Hey, is she with you? Hannah sounded confused. I'm at home. What? She said she's traveling with you. Traveling where? Spain. There was a pause. Mark, I haven't seen her in weeks. Let me pause the story for just a second. If you're still listening, please hit the like button on this video. It really helps YouTube show this story to more people. Thank you so much for the support. Now, let's get back to the story. The line hummed in my ear. I didn't shout. I didn't toss chairs. I sat at the table and stared at the bowl on the counter like it would weigh in. Then I stood, took a shower, shaved, put on a clean shirt, and called my attorney. Monday morning, I was in his office signing what needed signing. No drama, no speeches, just decisions. That same afternoon, I texted Hannah. Do me a favor. When she gets back, swing by. Hannah answered, say when. I texted when she texted me from the driveway. We didn't talk about why. We didn't have to. The week stretched. I worked. I ate chicken and rice from a container and went to bed at 10 o'clock. Saturday, my brother Clay dropped by with a 6-pack. You good? He asked, leaning on the counter. I'm busy, I said. He had the half-empty closet down the hall. Okay, we're not doing the sympathetic head tilt, I told him. Wasn't planning on it. He took a sip. Just checking if you needed me to haul anything. I boxed her office and put it in the garage, I said. Labeled easy to move. Utilities stay in my name. Access codes changed. Joint card downgraded to bills only. That's my list. He nodded like he approved. Strong list. It's not a parade, I said. He set the bottle down. Brother question. Shoot. You want me here when she shows? No, I want her to walk into a straight line. And Hannah, he raised an eyebrow. I asked for help. He nodded again. Good. Keep it neat. Sunday night, just after 9 o'clock, headlights swept across the living room. My phone buzzed. I'm home. Unlock. I texted back. Doors open. I walked into the room and sat in the chair facing the entry. Hannah stood beside me, hands in the pockets of her hoodie, eyes steady. She wasn't gloating. She was a witness. The door opened. My wife stepped in, hair pulled back, sunglasses on her head like she was still at the airport. A tan that didn't come from our zip code. She stopped dead when she saw us. Her mouth opened, closed. What is this? Logistics, I said. Hannah lifted a hand. Hi. My wife swallowed. You told him. I told him you weren't with me. Hannah replied. She looked between us, voice low. You set me up. No, I said. You set yourself up. We're just punctual. She squared her shoulders. I don't know what you think this proves. That Spain doesn't require my consent, I said. But my house does. She tried a softer tone. Mark, listen. I needed space. We were off. You got space, I said. Now you get a plan. What plan? I reached to the side table, picked up the folder, and handed it over. Read. She barely flipped the front page before her face changed. You're overreacting. I'm correcting, I said. Your clothes are in the garage. I'll give you 30 minutes to go through what you need tonight, and the rest you can schedule a pickup for tomorrow. Past that, the garage lock changes. The joint account covers our remaining bills until the end of the month. Then it's closed. Her eyes jumped to Hannah. You're enjoying this? Hannah's voice stayed steady. Not even a little. You think you're going to replace me? My wife gestured between us with her. Relax, I said, leaning back. She's my future wife. Go back to your friend. My wife still jaw tight. You're cruel. No, I said, I'm clear. She set the folder on the coffee table. We can talk about this. We just did. Mark, don't do this to us. You stopped using US when you started living a separate calendar. I said. I caught up. She looked at Hannah again, searching for cracks. Hannah didn't offer any. My wife lifted the folder like it burned. I need time. You have 30 minutes. I replied, checking my watch. Then I want my door closed. She went down the hall, pulled suitcases across the hardwood, moved like someone counting backwards. I didn't help. That wasn't cruelty. That was a boundary with legs. When she came back with a final box, she set it down and looked at me. Are you sure? She asked. More than sure. You'll regret this. I doubt it. She tried one more path. You said family mattered. It does. I said that's why I'm protecting mine, including me. She stared at Hannah. He'll get tired of your perfect act. Hannah didn't flinch. I've got no act. My wife pivoted to the door. Goodbye then. Hold on. I said. She stopped. I walked over and placed the set of spare keys in her open palm. Those don't work anymore. I told her flat. They're just souvenirs. She opened her mouth, closed it, walked out. When the door clicked, Hannah exhaled. You're a stone, she said. Only when I have to be. You want a minute? What I want is dinner. I said, finally, letting my shoulders drop. You hungry? Hannah smiled small. Served steak. I asked. I'll chop salad, she said, moving to the kitchen like she'd done it every Sunday. We cooked in silence for a few minutes. She washed lettuce. I seared meat. The normally was almost funny. She glanced over. By the way, I appreciated the future wife line. It landed just enough. We ate at the table without our phones. It wasn't a performance. It was a habit I wanted to keep. Over the next few weeks, my life rearranged itself like a garage after you toss the junk. I took the spare bedroom and turned it into an office. I woke before my alarm most days. I stopped waiting for a late key scratch at the door. Work was straight. My crew noticed. Luis slapped my back after a bid meeting. You look 10 pounds lighter, man. It's not the gym, I told him. Ellie squinted at me. You cut the noise. It shows. I cut where the respect cut first, I said. Clay helped me haul the last of the labeled boxes to her new place. He didn't ask where. I didn't tell him. That's not mean. That's boundary maintenance. Hannah and I kept it simple. She'd swing by with dinner some nights. No expectations, no timeline. I did my part and didn't pretend we were sprinting toward anything. We took a Sunday drive up the river, windows down, coffee in the cup holders. You always this quiet? She asked, watching the water. I talk when there's something to say. Good, she said. I'm not applying for the role of therapist. Wouldn't hire you for it, I said. Deadpan, she laughed. Attractive answer. We went to a minor league game with Clay and his wife. Hannah cheered when the home team scored and booed when a kid dropped a foul ball. Clay leaned over. She fits, he said. So far, I answered. I'm not rushing. You sound like Dad, he said, grinning. Dad didn't rush either, I replied. He just didn't apologize for walking out of rooms that stopped respecting him. Work kept rolling. We won the bid from the brewery meeting. The client sent an email. Clean, on time, on budget. My name started to carry weight I liked. I took deposits, ordered lumber, and spent my evenings building a dining table for the house I wasn't moving out of. One afternoon, my phone buzzed. A number I used to know. I let it go to voicemail. Later, I listened. Her voice was careful. I'm settled. I regret how I handled things. If you want to talk, I deleted it. Not angry, just done. That's the difference respect makes. You stop rehearsing speeches for someone who refuses to hear the short ones. A month out, I replaced the old dining table with the one I'd built. The wood was simple, the line straight. I texted Hannah, you coming by? She replied with a thumbs up and a picture of a bottle of sparkling water. She arrived in a sundress and bare feet, looked at the table and whistled, you made this. I did. She ran her hand along the edge. It's solid. That's the point. We ate roasted chicken and roasted carrots like adults who hadn't eaten from takeout containers for 2 years. She poured us each a glass of the sparkling stuff and raised hers to no bowls on the counter. Keep the bowl, I said. It reminds me that attention is a choice. She clinked my glass to chosen attention. We weren't rushing toward anything grand. We were building routines like fence posts and concrete, a dinner here, a drive there, her calling me out when I ducked hard conversations, and me calling her out when she tried to fix everything I never asked her to fix. Real people, not hopes. Every once in a while, I'd hear things through the grapevine. Small town, large mouths. She moved into a one-bedroom near downtown. The friend was in and out. She posted a picture in a cafe with a caption about freedom that read like a commercial. I didn't comment. Freedom without respect is just noise with better lighting. Clay asked one night, you ever think about, undoing it? Undoing what? The whole thing. Like if she showed up and she won't, I said, and if she did, she'd meet the same door. Your hard line. I'm consistent, I said. I gave clear rules. She chose a different game. He nodded. Reach for the remote. You want the ball game? Yeah, I said. Put it on. When the papers came back stamped and final, I took a breath that felt like something you earn. I put the envelope in a drawer, not because I needed proof, but because I like my drawers organized. Hannah stopped by that night with groceries. Chicken or salmon? She asked. Surprise me. She held up both. That's not how it works. I smiled. Chicken. We cooked. We ate. We cleaned up. At the sink, she bumped my shoulder. You going to ask me on a real date? This is a real date, I said. Smart answer, she replied. But I was thinking dinner out. I have a dress that wants to see a restaurant. Friday, I said. 7. Pick me up. She said, writing her address on the notepad by the fridge, even though I had it. And no speeches if I'm 3 minutes late. 2-minute grace period, I said. After that, I enjoy appetizers without you. She laughed. Reasonable. We made it to Friday. I picked her up. She wore a dress. We sat across a small table and didn't check our phones. Tell me something true, she said. I sleep better alone than I did paired with the wrong person. Brutal. Accurate. Your turn. Okay, she said. I don't want to audition for your past. If you ever feel like I'm doing that, say it. Deal. We paid and left. In the parking lot, she took my arm. You know, when I agreed to help you that night, I wasn't thinking long term, she said. Neither was I. Now, I looked at her. I'm thinking one step at a time, but I'm not looking over my shoulder. Good, she said. It looks better forward. At home, I put the last of the boxes from the garage out for pickup. No drama, no notes, just a curb and a schedule. The house felt bigger, not because emptiness took over, but because respect did. Months later, a neighbor mentioned seeing my ex at the grocery store with a cart of microwave meals and a look that said the lights were on, but nobody was home. I didn't gloat. That's not who I'm trying to be. I nodded, changed the light bulb in my porch fixture, and went back inside. Hannah and I kept building. We repainted the living room on a Saturday, bickering about shades like it mattered more than it did and laughing when we got paint on our elbows because we forgot we were grown-ups. We hosted Clay and his wife for burgers. Ellie dropped off a bottle of something fizzy with a card that read to boundaries. Louise texted me pictures of a deck we'd finished under budget. The shop books were clean. The phone rang with good work. And the silence in the evenings wasn't heavy anymore. On a Sunday drive, Hannah pointed at a house with a porch swing and a big maple in the front yard. Want that? She asked. Maybe the swing, I said. I've got the rest. She leaned back. You really do. I thought about my kitchen table, my quiet mornings, my crew that trusted me, my brother who didn't need explanations, and the woman next to me who didn't need me to be someone I wasn't. I thought about a bowl by the fridge that reminded me that attention is a discipline, not a default. And I thought about the night a door closed and how some endings are just strong beginnings that stopped apologizing. I took Hannah's hand on the console. You hungry? I asked. Always. Burgers with extra pickles. Done. We turned down the road toward home. I wasn't chasing anything anymore. I kept my word to myself. No more gray areas, no more games, no more living where respect goes missing. If someone wanted a different rulebook, they could play somewhere else. And for the first time in a long time, that felt like a life, not a line. Our story has come to an end. If you've made it this far, how about subscribing to our channel? It helps us immensely. I'll be waiting for you in the next story. See you soon.